Hello students, today we'll see the menstrual cycle or female reproductive cycle. This is the natural cycle takes place in human female, and during the cycle the cyclical changes occurs in every month in ovary as well as uterus of the human female from puberty to menopause. This is a female reproductive cycle or menstrual cycle in which the changes occurs. In which part? Ovary as well as uterus. Ovary and uterus of the human female from puberty to menopause. Puberty means what? Puberty means that is the maturity period, and menopause means that particular period at which the menstrual cycle or female reproductive cycle get stopped. Okay, means puberty period means generally in girls puberty period is or maturity period is that is the 13 years. At this age the reproductive cycle or the menstrual cycle become functional. Okay, throughout the life of female, this menstrual activity takes place from puberty to menopause. In puberty just a start of the cycle is called as menarche, and cease of cycle or stop of the cycle is called as menopause. In this way the cyclical changes occurs in every month in ovary as well as in uterus of human female from puberty to menopause. Okay, and this cycle is marked by the menstruation. Okay, means indication of this cycle is menstruation or bleeding through vagina. Bleeding takes place through vagina, that is the menstruation. Okay, and this menstruation comes through the vagina, or bleeding takes place through the vagina, means it indicates the menstrual cycle is functional. Okay. What is menstruation or what is menstruation? It is the periodic discharge, means in every 28 days there is a discharge through vagina, means that is the periodic discharge. Periodic discharge of blood, mucus, cell debris. Cell debris means that is the dead cells, dead uterine cells, uterine epithelium, and unfertilized egg takes place from uterine wall through the vagina. That is the menstrual cycle, means it is the periodic discharge of blood, mucus, cell debris and unfertilized egg through vagina is called as menstrual flow or periodic discharge. In human female, this periodic discharge takes place in every 28 days. Okay, means it is the periodic discharge of blood, mucus, cell debris and unfertilized egg from uterine wall through vagina is called as menstrual cycle. Okay, and each menstrual cycle occurs in every 28 days, and during this 28 days, during this cyclical changes occurs in endometrium of uterus, ovary and vagina. Means cyclical changes occurs in uterus, ovary and vagina. All these three parts are the parts of female reproductive system. Generally menstrual cycle starts at the age of, in human female menstrual cycle starts at the age of 13 to 15 years and continues up to the 45 years. Means menstrual cycle starts at the age of 13th year and continues up to the 45, means after 45 or 45 onward, this menstrual cycle get stopped. Okay. And during the pregnancy, menstrual cycle discontinue, means at the time of baby formation or at the time of pregnancy, this menstrual cycle get discontinued and start again after the delivery of baby. Okay. Now this menstrual cycle is divided into 4 different phases. The first phase is the menstrual phase. Menstrual phase is first phase, that is the menstrual phase, or it is also called as bleeding phase or a destructive phase. It is called as destructive phase because in this phase destruction of uterine endometrium takes place. Endometrial wall or the uterine endometrium degenerates, it get breakdown, and due to the breaking of this uterine endometrium, the menstrual flow comes out or periodic discharge comes out of the vaginal canal, okay, which is called as menstrual flow or menstruation. Okay. Second phase is the proliferative phase. Proliferative phase means what? It is the preparatory phase. Proliferative phase means preparatory phase because in this phase the preparation of both in uterus, means preparation in uterus as well as preparation of ovary takes place. That's why it is called as proliferative phase. Second phase, that is a proliferative phase, means preparatory phase in which the preparation in uterus takes place, preparation in ovary takes place. Okay. And third phase is ovulatory phase. Ovulatory phase, it is the shortest phase. It is the shortest phase of the menstrual cycle, and in this phase ovulation takes place, means ovum comes out of the ovary. That is the process. The process of release of ovum from the ovary is called as ovulation. Okay. And that ovulation takes place during ovulatory phase. Okay. Next, that is the secretory phase. Secretory phase, or it is also called as luteal phase, in which the further preparation of uterus and ovary takes place. Okay. Further preparation of ovary means it shows the growth of uterus, it shows the ovulation. After ovulation, formation of corpus luteum is there. After formation of corpus luteum, there is a secretion of progesterone hormone. All these activities takes place in the secretory phase. In this way, in menstrual cycle is divided into 4 phases. Menstrual cycle is divided into 4 phases: menstrual phase, proliferative phase, ovulatory phase, and secretory phase. Okay. Next, now see, this menstrual cycle is of 28 days cycle. In 28 days cycle, consider the 28 days cycle. Now 28 days cycle, suppose this is the first day and 28th day, middle of the cycle, that is the 14th day means 14th day means day of ovulation. Okay. Now consider the first day means day of menstruation. Okay. And this day of menstruation, this menstrual phase takes place or the remains for first to 4 day. Okay. 4 day means it is the fourth day. After 5th to 13th day, we can consider this phase as a proliferative phase or preparative phase. Okay. And this is the menstrual phase, first to 4th day, that is menstrual phase. Okay. Then 14th day, 14th or 15th day, consider 24-hour this cycle, shortest phase, that is ovulatory phase. This is the ovulatory phase. Next, after 15 to 28 days, this is the longest phase, is called as secretory phase. Secretory phase or luteal phase. Okay, and this cycle, the first day, that is the day of first day, means that is the first day of menstrual phase. Lasts for near about 1 to 4 days. Okay, from 5th day, after completion of menstrual phase, it begins in a proliferative phase. Okay, proliferative phase from 5th day to 13th day. Proliferative phase is there. Okay, then on 14th day, ovulatory phase is there. At 14th day, ovulation takes place. 14th day, ovulation takes place, and after 15th to 28 days, there is a secretory phase. In this way, the whole cycle is divided into 4 phases: menstrual phase, proliferative phase, ovulatory phase, and secretory phase. And the first half of the cycle is under the influence of estrogen and progesterone. And second half of the cycle is estrogen. It is under control of follicle stimulating hormone and estrogen. And second half of the cycle is under the influence of follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, estrogen, and progesterone. Okay, progesterone. Luteinizing hormone. Here is the luteinizing hormone. Okay, in first phase there is a follicle stimulating hormone. In second half of the phase, that is the luteinizing hormone, estrogen and progesterone. In first half of the cycle, mainly the follicle stimulating hormone and estrogen is in function, and in second half of the cycle there is a luteinizing hormone, estrogen and progesterone is active. Okay, now we'll see the first phase of the menstrual cycle, that is menstrual phase, or it is also called as bleeding phase, or it is also called as destructive phase. Okay, the bleeding phase means what? The phase in which the blood comes out of the vagina. And second, destructive phase means what? Here is the destruction of endometrial mucosa. There is a destruction of endometrial mucosa. Okay, means suppose consider this is the uterus is there. 3 layers are, uterine wall is divided into 3 layers. Uterine endometrium. Okay, uterine endometrium, and internally it is lined by a single layer of uterine epithelium. Is there. This is the uterine epithelium. Okay. Uterine endometrium is lined by, innermost layer is lined by single layer of epithelium, uterine epithelium. Okay. Outermost, that is perimetrium, middle myometrium, and inner endometrium. This is the inner layer, that is endometrium. Okay. During proliferative phase, or during the after menstrual phase, there is a proliferative phase. During the proliferative phase, the uterus and ovary get develops. Uterus means uterus get starts to repair or it starts to prepare. Okay, uterus and ovary म्हणजे uterus आणि ओव्हरीचं प्रिपरेशन जे आहे याच्यामध्ये जे डेव्हलपमेंट, ग्रोथ आणि डेव्हलपमेंट जे आहे ते स्टार्ट होत आहे. आता युटरसमध्ये काय होतं की युटरस इज अंडर कंट्रोल ऑफ, नाव दिस युटरस इज अंडर कंट्रोल ऑफ इस्ट्रोजन. इस्ट्रोजन इज द हार्मोन विच इज द Estrogen is the hormone which is the preparatory or reparatory hormone. It repairs the uterus, it prepares the uterus. आता काय होतं आहे, इस्ट्रोजनची ॲक्शन युटरसवर झाल्यानंतर काय होतं आहे की इथं जे ब्लड वेसल्स आहे दॅट ब्लड वेसल बिकम्स कॉइल्ड, मीन्स वॅस्क्युलर सप्लाय गेट इन्क्रीज्ड. Blood vessel becomes coiled and vascular supply get increased. That's why uterine endometrium becomes thick. Uterine endometrium becomes thick. Okay. Second preparation is there is a formation of mucous glands. Mucous glands grows and starts to secrete the mucus secretion. Mucous gland grows and start to secrete the mucus secretion. Okay. All this preparation is going for the formation of pregnancy. Is going for the formation of pregnancy, means a fertilized egg will be available and that egg will be implanted in inner wall of endometrium. Okay. Now all this preparation means here is blood vessels becomes coiled or it vascular supply here is increased, vascular supply increased, uterine gland or uterine that is the mucous gland, we can say mucous gland starts to grow, they start to secrete mucus and uterine epithelium increase its size, they shows the secretory activity. All these preparations takes place inside the uterus under the influence of estrogen hormone, under the influence of estrogen hormone. Now after specific time, means after 28 days this uterus doesn't receive any fertilized egg. That's why all these preparation get break. Uterine endometrium or uterine wall get break, and uterine after due to the breaking of uterine wall, all the material like blood, cell debris, mucus and unfertilized egg which comes from the ovary, this unfertilized egg which comes from the ovary means egg or ovum, unfertilized ovum. All this material comes through the vaginal canal, means it indicates the bleeding through vagina, means that is the menstrual phase. Now menstrual phase means what? It is bleeding through vagina. It indicates the menstrual phase of menstrual cycle. Okay, and generally this bleeding takes place 4 to 5 days. Bleeding takes place 4 to 5 days of menstrual phase. And after ovulation, if ovum is not fertilized, if ovum is fertilized, then implantation will take place, then pregnancy will form. If pregnancy is not formed, then uterine endometrium will break and degenerates, which results in the menstruation or which results into the menstrual flow, which indicates the menstrual phase. Okay, now in menstrual flow, this menstrual flow consists of blood, mucus, cell debris or dead cells, because these cells that is uterine epithelium that get break, and after breaking that cells becomes dead. That's why it is called as cell debris or dead cells. And unfertilized egg is also thrown out of the uterus. Okay, during this phase means near about 1 to 4 days or 1 to 5 days, in 5 days the 45 to 100 ml of blood is lost. 45 to 100 ml of blood is lost, and this breaking of uterus, it results into the bleeding of uterus, means uterus uterus get break, and one scientist described that uterus as a weeping of uterus for the lost ovum. Ovum is lost, that's why uterus is weeping, or funeral of unfertilized egg. Funeral of unfertilized egg. Okay. At the end of this phase, that progesterone level decreases. Progesterone, this is the hormone level, is decreases and stimulates the anterior pituitary to secrete FSH. What is the function of FSH? This FSH will act on the ovary, and after action of this follicle stimulating hormone, the certain follicles, ovarian follicles, which are already present in the ovary, that starts to develop, that develops as a primordial follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, and mature graphene follicle. After mature graphene follicle means growth of up to the mature graphene follicle and is under control of follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, means after the menstrual phase, after the completion of menstrual phase, the proliferative phase or preparatory phase is starts or begins. Okay, and this whole uterine endometrium get degenerate, and the thickness of that wall, uterine endometrium, or the basal part of the endometrium, that remains intact, and only the thickness of that endometrium remains 1 millimeter in thickness. 1 millimeter in thickness. Okay, this is regarding the brief introduction of menstrual cycle and the first phase, menstrual phase. Tomorrow we'll see the other phases like proliferative phase, then ovulatory phase and secretory phase. Okay, we'll see tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.